once I get into a groove with something, it's all about like, we create this container as a giant world, a playground. And then the design of it is really centered around allowing it to evolve with our excitement. So we talk about like having this core base of community where we get to connect once a month, all as a community, random conversations with people all over the world who've signed up. And we have people literally from all over the world on the wait list, which is super cool. So there's not only that like monthly touch point, the spontaneous connection touch point, which I'm really excited about because there are times where I do feel really social, but I know that like if I reach out to someone, this is a very real thing. This has happened my entire life. When I reach out to someone and I'm like, hey, do you want to talk? Then it's almost like we talk and then they want to talk to me like all the time.
It's like now they feel as if you guys are really good friends
Right.
and they have access to kind of call you whenever or text you whenever. It's
Right.
like, no, I just wanted that one
I
conversation.
just wanted that one.
And I wanted it then. I didn't want it like, later that day or whatever. Which I know isn't conducive for everyone's lifestyle, but also just understanding how kind of divine timing works and having a group of people like the board, it'd be a lot easier. We're creating a lot more conducive environment for to have these spontaneous, synchronistic conversations all the time.
Yeah.
And someone feels like talking to a specific person or just talking to someone, there's going to be the availability for that.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And I feel very excited about that because, you mentioned this earlier, but when I was especially growing up, I felt like I couldn't say no. And I felt like I couldn't leave situations that I didn't want to be in because people I felt like I was held hostage. I mean, it sounds very extreme, but like I'd go over someone's house and like want to leave and they'd be like, no, stay. Like I just had that my whole life. It felt like people forcing me to do things that I didn't want to do. And now, from a more evolved perspective, I understand I was just doing this to myself because at any time I could have just stood up and said, I'm leaving. But I think I had so many, thousands of experiences like that as a child, having to do things that I didn't want to do. And it wasn't okay for me to have an opinion. And it wasn't okay for me to even say no. I didn't know what a boundary was. And so there's this deep energetic imprint in my system around like, people don't get me. People don't understand that I come in like a spark of light and then I go away. And like, that's how I like being. I don't want to be in the situation for a full half day. Like we talked about before, like one of my nightmares would be going on a boat with people socially. Like, remember we talked about this? It's like that would be like such a fun day for most people. That is one of my nightmare scenarios because I can't leave.
I'm the exact same way.
And I know you and I bond over this. And it's like, I need an option. I need an exit door. Because I think the way that our energy works, we are so, we're a spark. We're a spark of light. We're a spark that like sets the coals on fire. And then that's a very addicting energy. And people want to be around the fire all day long. But the fire can't go all day long. The fire can't. It wants to just retreat and slow down at times, or it gets really big at other times and then it gets smaller. It's like you have to allow the fire to just be how it is. But when people don't have an understanding of that, you feel stuck and it feels like, oh, I got to be the entertainment. And even when I try to be more quiet, people are like, why are you so quiet? Tell us a story. And I'm like, I don't want to be an entertainment monkey. So the idea of being like on a boat for half a day, I have never once agreed. I have never once taken an opportunity to go on a boat because I know what would happen to me. Like I know what's happened to me my entire life when I feel stuck in a situation with people who want to be around the fire, but they want the fire to be a specific way. They want the fire to be happy, joyous, vivacious, life-giving. They don't want the fire to be angry. They don't want the fire to be melancholic. They don't want the fire to be withdrawn or moody. They want the fire to be their way. And I can't predict myself like that. There are times when I'm like that, and that's when I go out. But when I'm not like that, I can't turn it on. And have we forced ourselves to turn it on for people? Of course. But like there's an unwillingness to do that past a certain point in your life. And I think as I got older, and especially like what you said before, about me not feeling safe around most people. That's why. Because why don't I feel safe around them? They don't let me be myself because they don't want the fullness of what comes with the extremes. They just want the top of the pendulum. They don't want the bottom. And so if I'm not in the top, I'm getting emotional as I say this because it's very true. If I'm not at the top of the pendulum, then I feel like I can't be seen until I get there again. And it just feels very, like I can't win or something. So that's why it's, with you, I feel like you understand that I'm not going to be at the top every day, all day. I can't. And when I am at the top, it's really amazing. And I wish I could be there all the time, but I can't. I feel like there's just a lack of acceptance for what comes with the entire wave. And I can't control it. And that's why I don't answer DMs. And it's like when I'm at the bottom, I can't. I just can't because you're going to want me to be a certain way. And I just can't be that way all the time. So when I'm not in the mood or I can't create the energy, I just withdraw because I just have a feeling that it's not going to be accepted as it is. So it's deeply painful, I feel.
You were sharing.
But you understand. And that's why I love spending time with you because you don't want me to be a certain way. Like you don't expect me to be happy all the time. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And you're a very powerful person to where definitely probably the most entertaining, compelling, oftentimes intelligent, attractive person that most people have ever met in their entire lives. And that being said, I feel like this is something that most women experience. And a lot of men to some extent, but especially women.
Yeah.
It's like they've been forced into a world where men have been in control for so long. They have a 24-hour cycle. The far majority of us can show up consistently every single day, despite our mood.
Right.
Despite how we're feeling, and still do the same output. And women just naturally, due to their cycles, aren't built that way. And so sadly, a lot of them cap their own success and abundance because there's a story that they're going to have to be a certain way that isn't conducive of how they're actually feeling.
Yeah.
And the pain of what they're doing is betraying themselves.
Exactly.
Is so miserable and so painful that staying comfortable, staying in a place where you're not making as much money as you know you're capable of, staying in a relationship that feels comfortable, saying these things that feel comfortable. There's nothing wrong with comfort, but oftentimes it's not letting yourself fully expand, because the only time we've ever seen people fully expand is when they oftentimes are betraying themselves to have the results of expansion.
Right.
And so I feel as if with the approach we're taking of us creating the final steps of this business, the approach we're taking in terms of the spontaneous nature of people connecting with each other in the community, everything going forward is strictly made from this pain point. Yeah. It's a solution to this problem. And I'm really excited for that, because I know we're doing that, of course, on a community level. We're doing that on a team member level, like for our own employees and everything. We're doing that for the hosts that we have that are doing the walks now. We're doing that for everything we do going forward, and making sure that both men and women honor their cycles.
And they honor the cycles of others, because that is really what safety is. When we use the word in so many of the things I've written about the walks, it's the word safe. People have reflected back to me that they feel very safe in the space. What is feeling safe in the space? It's like, from my consciousness as the founder of the walks, I have had so much pain, and you can feel it as I talk about it, not being accepted as I am, that I have a lot of love for how people show up. And as long as they have a good heart, they're matching the intention, they're in resonance with the space, they're curious, they're kind, they're welcome, and their quirks and their weirdness and the things that people might call too much or too intense or too deep or whatever the too is, like, it fits here. There's an acceptance and a truly unconditional love that people can feel, because I've had so much pain not being able to be myself, that when I see someone, it's just like, I don't know, there's a radical acceptance of them. Like, you say all the time how, you're a weirdo and you're an alien, and it's like all these things that you would think you're weird about, like, they're my favorite things about you. Like, I wouldn't change one thing about you. I love everything about you. And it's a deep love for just the human. And that is safety in a community. And that's why with everything I design, safety is so at the core, because I have had so many experiences where I didn't feel safe to be myself. So when I'm, at the head creating a space, the first thing on my mind is creating safety for people. And it's really emotional safety. And that's why I've been able to birth some of these things that to this day, people come to me and they're like, I've just never seen anything like that. Like when in the ground rules speech, where we're laying out exactly what we recommend people take in mind. The two-way flow, the floating to more than 5 people, the no selling, promoting, or dating. The amount of times people have come up to me and been like, thank you for putting that in there, because that is exactly what I was worried about coming here today. And that is emotional safety. And it's like, when you've had such a wound around not feeling accepted as yourself, that's the frame that you're going to see any problem in front of you when it comes to bringing people together, community. Like, that's why it's at the core, and that's why it feels different. And that's why people who are kind of in this interesting, logical, intuitive group are like, wow, I feel like I can be myself here. I have the safety to be myself. So I'm excited. I love how all that emotion came from me talking about what I was excited about. Did not see that coming. But I feel like the spontaneous connection piece, like, that is how I like to connect. I like to pop in like a fairy and say, oh my gosh, like, what's going on in your life? And literally spend like 3 hours debriefing with someone and then not talk to them for 6 months. Like,
And that's okay.
That's how I work. And I feel safe around people who get that and who respect that and who don't try to force me to be someone I'm not. I'm not someone who's going to meet with you every Wednesday. I'm not someone who is going to text you back regularly or at all. And we can feel when someone is okay with that. And that's the kind of person we want in the community.
What's coming through from right now is what we now understand as safety, as being accepted in all states. It makes it very clear what makes people feel unsafe. So oftentimes a childhood of needing to be a certain way for their father, for their mother, whoever it may be, not allowing themselves, whether it's cry or get a C on a test or whatever. Maybe there's a long list of ways we've been told we need to be and should be. And oftentimes the harder we've been forced to be a certain way, the harder it is for us to feel safe in our own being. And I feel like that is the cause of all childhood problems.
Yeah.
It's not feeling safe and accepted in all ways.
It's unconditional love.
It's a lack of, yeah.
Yeah.
And what does make incredible parenting and community building is unconditional love.
Yeah.
And so there are certain people that have grown up, and because of what was done to them oftentimes as a child that they haven't looked at or healed yet, they're unaware of the fact that the unsafety they've felt within their being is reflected on how they go upon their current relationships, because they find someone that gave them the exact same amount of unsafety as their father. That's who they're dating now. With a mother, that's who they're dating now. And so if the father needed them to be a certain way of militant, they're going to find another militant type of guy or a girl. Because if they don't look at that thing, that pattern will continue. And I think we've noticed just through community managing, there are people that have a plethora of traits that we have full compassion for, but that their bids for connection are oftentimes coming from a place of need.
A deep need, yeah.
A deep need. Attachment.
Yeah, closed fist.
That stems from unsafety.
Yes.
As a child, oftentimes.
Yeah.
And so, one unique part about all this is that a huge thing that's going to make this community amazing is our ability to discern why someone is connecting with others.
Yes.
Like, there are a lot of fantastic people that have done the work on themselves, that feel safe, that are simply just because of the time, especially after COVID, whatever it may be, they're lonely. They want more connection, more people like them in their life.
Or they're outgrowing their friend group.
Or they're outgrowing their friend group.
Right.
Or simply their life is really good and they have a fantastic connection already. They just want the great ones. I want to be able to provide all that for all those people. And that being said, understand through our experiences what are signs of people trying to join this community and trying to connect with others that are coming from a place of trying to fill a deep, dark hole within them that can only be filled by themselves. They are looking externally to do so. Because those are the people that we've seen in the past. Thankfully, we've had 15,000 people in the walks. This is only, when we're talking about a handful of people, like a dozen, maybe 20 maximum, that we can tell we're coming from a place of grasping and needing. And it's going to be in our best interest, just like we have for the walks, to make sure that for the board premium, those people are given the conversations necessary to be aware of maybe some traits and attributes they may have. And also, if they're just not a fit, they're just not a fit.
Right. Because and I think ultimately, and this is something that we really need to internalize, or maybe I just need to internalize it, we have unconditional love for every person, but we have to recognize what the space is and what it is not. And the community, it's not a therapy space. It's not a space to do the deep work or create almost like you think about it as like a culture. If everyone here has done inner work on themselves and there's one person in a group of 10 who has not, or who is still really in the thick of it, and they're in very deep, dark place, dark night of the soul, all of that energy is going to go towards this one person. And it's not energetically fair. It's not what the community is for. If the offer was that, then it would be aligned. But the offer is really, because this is something that, and being a community builder for 3 years, having 16,000 people come through the walks, I have seen firsthand what happens when you have a very amazing, living, pulsating culture in an event, and you have one or two people who are coming from a place of grasping, from heavy attachment, from negativity, from using the space as a therapy tool, using other people to outsource their healing, it throws the whole thing off. And that's in a free space. And even in that free space, we talk to the person and we usually gently either tell them what we've noticed and give them an opportunity to do some work or readjust their behavior, or we ask them not to come back. In the paid community, though, that's a level of attention we give to a free space. The paid community is even more important because for me, years ago, who I feel like I've built this for, like the you who was in Bali. It's like, that's who we're building it for. Or when you were in college.
Oh my gosh.
The me in college. Oh my God, this would have rocked my world.
Changed the game.
It would have changed everything, because what you really are seeking is people who are in the same wavelength, who are growth oriented, who are curious, asking questions, seeking the truth, just to talk to them. That's it. And like when I look at my own awakening process, I guess you could call that, what really knocked me up so many different notches on a positive spiral were my conversations with Danny, for example. My conversations with people who were asking the same questions, and we were just going at it together, and we're just upward spiraling in this big group. And I remember I'd get messages, you know, when I was really connected with Danny and sharing stories about all of our conversations from people being like, I just wish I had a friend like Danny is to you and that you are to Danny. Where do I find people like that? I would get asked that all the time in Twitter DMs. And I'm like, that's what we're creating. Because when you're somebody who does have these traits, you're so magnetic that everywhere you walk, people want to be your friend. But the energetic exchange, to be completely honest, is not equal. It's not fair. There's somebody who has done the work to create more space. And then there's somebody who has not done that work, who senses that space and wants to fill it with themselves. And that's okay. There's no judgment here, but that's just the nature of consciousness. And when you are someone who has done the work to let go of a lot of the insecurities, the pain points, the blockages, all this, you got so much space and you're up here. Any in this area right here, they're just going to draw to you like a moth to a flame. But you're not going to be nourished by these interactions in the same way that you would be if you were talking to someone who had already done and is currently doing the same work. They're on the same path. They're walking right alongside you rather than 50 feet behind you saying, hey, wait up. It's a very different feeling.
If you and I had this in college, our life would have been a completely different trajectory.
Oh.
We wouldn't have settled for relationships that weren't amazing.
I wouldn't have
just
been
because
at Meta.
it'd be the only people there
Yeah.
around us. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And I'm so excited for this. It's going to change the lives of so many people because it gives them what feels like oftentimes it would have been the first time in my entire life if I never had met you.
Yeah.
Where I felt when it comes to relationships, I felt at home somewhere. So man, that's going to be amazing. And I'm so glad how we have the philosophy when it comes to community building that if you're not a right fit, because we understand the energetics behind it, it's almost our duty to make sure that we understand this community may not be as conducive for your experience as it may be, and there may be a different route for you to go down that isn't being with us going forward.
Yeah.
So kicking people.
And there are also a lot of spaces where you can do the healing work and be able to source your own connection within, which then creates a full cup for you to connect with other people. And in the community that we're offering, everyone has a full cup. And that's what makes it feel so good, because this is what happens. I mean, there's so many subtle layers to this, but when you don't have a full cup of connection or love for yourself, it's all the same thing, really. If you don't have a full cup, when you go into a community space, you start taking things very personally, and it creates drama. So this can be the smallest thing. Anyone can relate to this. Let's say you're in a friend group and there's one person who gets very offended when you don't text them back quickly. We all know what that feels like. Or you meet a new person and they send you a text, oh, it was great meeting you at this event today. Thank you so much for the conversation. You look at it and you think, okay, great. You go back to your day. A couple hours later, hey, did you get my message? I just want to make sure you got that. Or, oh, hey, saw you didn't respond. Hope all is well with you. It's like, wait, why is this suddenly so heavy? This is what I'm talking about. Now, there are subtle layers we could go into to exactly what's happening here. But when you have a room full of people who have the opposite of this trait, which is if somebody were to come on the walk, this happened thousands of times. They come on the walk. Not one time did I ever, in my 3 years of hosting, ask for someone's information after the walk. Think about that. Not in one time. And I had some great conversations, but I had such a full connection cup that I could leave it at the moment. I could say, wow, that was a great moment. Catch you next time, or never. I don't know if I'm ever going to see you again, and that's okay.
Because you have an abundance.
Because my cup is full. And when you operate with a full connection cup in a place of wholeness, there is no weird behavior that feels like a tight, closed fist. And this is said with no judgment because honestly, most people are the double texter. And most people do get really anxious when they really like someone and they want to be their friend. And then the other person, ironically, can feel that. Now they don't really want to even connect with you.
Because that person felt like a breath of fresh air.
Yes.
And what it feels as if we're going to be creating is a group of people that are on the same level as each other. So it's pretty much a fountain.
It's a fountain of joy.
Whatever that may be.
Of breaths
of light,
of fresh air.
It feels. And like you said, what we're creating is a cup and the fountain for them to fill up
with
whatever
other
they've been missing before.
Complete, whole, alive people.
Exactly.
Because really what ends up happening, and I've seen this in my own life in many ways, is that when you have a really full cup, everybody's going to come towards you. And you then have to go through all of these lessons of like, okay, I gave some water to this person and then they kept texting me every single day for 2 weeks. And then I had to break up with them as a friend. Okay. Lesson learned. Then there's another person who comes and then they start to get really passive aggressive with you and like start just drama and telling rumors, whatever. Then there's another person who comes, you pour some water to them and they start sending your content to other people making fun of you. It's like there's all of these lessons that you learn from giving your energy to the wrong people, to people who just simply aren't aligned. And we all know what this feels like, but when you're someone who has a lot of overflowing energy and a lot of love and a lot of fullness and wholeness, you're going to attract all sorts of people. But this community guarantees just about that you are going to be surrounded by people who will fill your cup, because that is what we have gotten really good at sensing. Imagine, you host an event, because this is a very weird experience. I don't think people fully understand how interesting and weird it is. Every single week, you're in the same place at the same time, and you are coming into contact with 16,000 people. And you're talking to them all directly. And you're saying good morning, and you're not having conversations with all of them, but you're at least having moments with all of them, and you're able to hone your social intuition. You get to notice patterns of, oh, this is what it feels like to have a really, really tight fist. This is how someone acts when they get my number. This is how they ask for my number. This is how they text me afterwards. When I don't answer in a certain amount of time, this is what they do. You start to notice all these patterns. This is why the board will be special, because you are, if you're in it, benefiting from our social intuition of who even gets to the door. That's such a crazy value that, like, if I had access to that or even knew that that could be a thing, I would have avoided so much chaos in my life.
Because so much of the work is already done. The filtration system.
Like
that fountain we're talking about. It has the best reverse osmosis.
It does.
Filter ever
Spring
on it.
water.
Spring water. It's the highest quality.
Yes.
And that saves so much time, because the people that we are and have been in the past and even now as we create this, and the people we attract, they're busy. They're living their life. They don't have
time.
That's what makes them great.
Yes.
So they don't have time to filter out if this person they met at the coffee shop a week ago is actually someone they want to invest their precious time into.
Right.
And so us creating a container, we're like, hey, even though we can't, people are people and people evolve and devolve over time, whatever. So we can't guarantee anything.
And if we let in someone who's not in resonance, you tell us and then they'll be removed.
We're going to handle that.
That's what we do on our free events.
Yeah, the free events. So
that's
imagine
savage.
what we're going to do.
That's so savage.
So of course, the whole process that's going to eliminate a lot of that from ever happening to begin with, because other one, thankfully, like we said, 16,000 people have shown, only about 20 people have been a significant problem.
Yeah. And
that's at a free event where anyone on the internet or just in public can come join, including crackheads.
It is, yeah. And we have had some people stumble in that way.
Versus this complete different community where there's going to be a high bar when it comes to the resources necessary to get in, and then also the application process to make sure that you really are about that life.
Right.
And we just, from going from our gut intuitions, can kind of sense where they may be and whether this community is conducive for them this time or not.
Right.
And then from there, the amount of, I swear, if I had this in high school, college, or whatever, my life would have been a complete different trajectory. And also another thing is, like, even though this isn't like the main reason why we're creating this, high quality people are going to want to do business with other high quality people.
Exactly.
And if you are starting a business and need people to work with, either as employees or business partners, great place for that. If I had this out of high school, if I had this out of college, my life would have been completely different.
Yeah.
I would not have settled for which I did, because these are the only people that were around, or these are people that I've known for so long, even though I've far outgrown them.
Yeah.
And I would have been a completely different trajectory. Man, you got me so excited for this.
Yeah, because we forget it sometimes. And I'm like, this is why we have to talk and anchor in that excitement, in that joy, in that past version of ourselves who didn't have the full connection cup. Because that is who we're building for. Like, there are people out there right now, and many of them are in the DMs that I don't answer, who are like, hey, you know, like they feel something. They feel an aliveness, a fire. They feel a wholeness. Wholeness magnetizes. Wholeness is irresistible.
And those people, the far majority, are fantastic people.
Yeah.
We just in the past did not have the space
We
to
don't
entertain.
have the capacity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because when they see one great person they want to be friends with, they just think it's, oh, them and then us. And that's it. It's one-on-one.
Right.
But when, especially you're more public like ourselves,
Right.
there's hundreds of good people. And even though one-on-one, a lot of them may be a great time and a fantastic hang, whatever you want to call it, when you have an abundance, it's like, I can't do any of it. This is too much.
And that's how I feel that, like, when we create a community where it's all people with full cup and it's the right time, because there might be some people who just doesn't feel like a fit right now. Like I'm thinking
right now.
I actually, as we're talking, have some people coming into my awareness where I'm like, oh, I don't feel like this is a fit for them right now. I don't know why. I can't explain that. But it's like, resonance is a tricky beast. Like, I can't tell you why. It's not really a logical answer. And maybe me even just saying that to them will trigger them in some way for their highest growth. That's probably what will happen. But it's just funny because I feel like having a container of people who are operating from a place of wholeness, and there's a context set about spontaneous connection, that unblocks so much, because you could hop in there and be like, oh, I see, you know, Joe is online in Alabama and I'm just going to call him. We're going to talk for 20 minutes. And like, what the hell is that going to be about? Probably something that you really needed to hear. And because you followed the nudges and you had actually a pool, and not just a pool of people, a pool of vetted people to actually be spontaneous with and be like, oh, this is going to be worth my time. It's so funny, as you were speaking, I saw this video of Layla Hermosi talking about how friendships take a lot of work for her, because you have to spend, she said, like, there's a study where you have to spend like over 50 to 80 hours with someone in order to determine if they're a good friend for you or not. Like, you have to spend so much time with someone to even understand who they really are. So she's like, the question I ask myself when I meet people is like, would I want to spend 80 hours with this person? And I feel like that is exactly the problem we're solving. Because in this stage, there are so many high-level people who are intuitive, who have a spark of aliveness, of magic, of wholeness, who don't have the time. They don't have the time to go to events. They don't want to go to events. When they go to events, they meet some random person who has some level of disordered attachment and who has a lot riding on the interaction going well, who they exchange contact with, and now they're getting texted by this person that they didn't even really like anyway. And now they have to let them down, you know, easy 2 weeks later and say, hey, actually, this is a little too much for me. I wish you all the best. I just don't think it's a fit, on repeat, because that's what happens to these people.
Exactly.
That's what happened to us.
It's either we are attracting the people with attachment issues.
Yes.
Or just in general, it happens just like a mid event with
right.
mid people.
Like, we
and maybe they don't
experienced
have
that one time.
Yeah, maybe they
Remember
don't have
that?
attachments. Maybe they're perfectly okay, but you just know, like, this isn't someone I want to invest a lot of time
Well,
into.
what
but
is
we
that?
settle for that oftentimes.
It's the energetic differential. It's like, I remember that. Remember, we like rarely go to things, but as a favor to one of the walk regulars, Cam and I went to this event, and it was just such a unique experience because we had not been at an event besides the ones that we ourselves host in like probably over a year. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
And so we show up, and I had a couple conversations where I was basically like, people were asking me for advice. The only question, like, they were asking me questions to benefit them. So it wasn't like getting to know me. It was like, hey, what would you do in this situation? And even like while we were having a moment, this woman came up and was like, hey, hey, Elle, can you like tell him how you do this one thing? I think he really needs to hear this and benefit from this. And like she tried to do this like 4 or 5 times. And it was just like, I don't want to, like, why am I here to give free advice? Like, what? It was just such a bizarre experience. And then I connected with you afterwards and I was like, how was your experience? And you're like, well, I talked to this perfectly nice guy, but like, I felt like I was coaching him the whole time.
Yeah.
And he didn't really even like know that. And then he asked to connect with me and he like ran up to you to get your contact information. And I'm like, that was probably the best conversation he's had in a long time, but he doesn't realize like why it was as good as it was because you were just holding space for him and asking him questions and like allowing him to share things that he probably hasn't had the space to share in like years. But people don't have the awareness to realize that. So they walk away thinking, oh my God, like I have a friend and I really like this friend. It's like, you don't really like the person. You like the way the person made you feel. And that when you don't have the awareness to realize that, that guy talked to you for 30 minutes and thinks, oh my God, I found a friend at an event and it was actually a really high quality person. Why? Because you barely said a word. He doesn't know anything about you. He doesn't like you. He probably didn't even know your name. He didn't ask you a single question. But you could have told him everything about himself. And that's what happens at an energetic consciousness differential. Is that the person, and this is literally said with no judgment, it's just universal energetic concept. The person who has more space in the interaction is the person who ends up asking questions, listening, creating space for the other person to rise and free up more space in their being by sharing all the things that are holding them back. And that, them rising in the presence of someone with space, is them saying, oh, I really like that person. Wow.
Because they feel lighter.
Because they feel
rose.
lighter, but they don't realize why that's happening. And because we're not living in a situation now, I think in a couple years this will change, where people recognize the value of that, of being energetically consciousness rising in the presence of another. It's not valued. Energetic labor, which is really what you're doing, when you're having a conversation with someone, it's a very high consciousness being. That is a form of energetic labor.
Which is the one job pretty much all women have ever done in a corporate workplace setting. It's that. It's like you've done the task list that is assigned under deliverables of the job that you get paid a salary for, and also the emotional, energetic labor behind everyone you come in contact with, whether you're managing them or not, or they're managing you. It's that. And that's why it feels so much more difficult for women in particular to be in these male-dominated settings, is because there's a complete different side to their job responsibilities that are not understood, but are unconsciously required by the environment. Yes. And it takes a toll. And the problem, and no one's really ever talked about this before, but in conversations, the conversation is always centered around the person that is least free.
Yes.
Because it's all energy being like exchanged to like pew, 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 whatever it is. And in every situation, naturally, because conversations are healing, oftentimes it's sending energy. If it's you and I versus some random person on the street, the conversation is going to go towards them.
Yes.
They're not going to learn a thing about us unless they're aware enough to realize, oh shit, they've been talking about me 100% of the time. And they feel almost guilty or obligated to ask us things so the balance won't be too off. But if they don't have the conscious awareness of that, which most people don't, the conversation will be about them the entire time, because energetically, the reason why we have connections and interactions and why people thrive from it is because they're healing.
Yes.
And so we're asking questions that lead to more profound realizations for himself, of himself, that requires him to rise to a level that is closer to our energetic consciousness level at that moment, which means more love, more light for themselves, more closer to being their full authentic version of themselves and unconditionally loving who they are. And so when that is done in a container that isn't conducive for the higher conscious beings, the higher conscious beings begin to not enjoy being around that environment.
Yes, because there's only so much that you can do out of a place of service. And then you look around, you're like, wait, what am I? What's being poured into me?
Exactly.
At this point.
And so there's two options for that.
Yeah.
If we're going to continue being around people that are of a lesser consciousness. And again, consciousness isn't discriminated by race, religion, height, attractiveness, intelligence, whatever it is. It is purely, it comes down to the level at which you unconsciously love yourself.
Yeah.
The reason why the cool person is cool is because they don't give a fuck.
Right.
And there's something about that they love themselves enough to not care that magnetize people in that way.
Right.
So a higher conscious being, the reason why they're there is something that it is the biggest meritocracy in the world, because everyone can be at that level if they so choose.
Yes.
If they so choose to look at the stones that have yet to be unturned.
Yes.
And go there. So based upon that higher conscious level, if someone is lower consciousness, to make this connection worth the higher conscious person's time, there needs to be something here.
Yes.
And what will soon happen, especially in the age of AI and especially in the age of everything coming down to energy and resonance, if you are receiving value from a higher conscious being, there must be a way to make the energy exchange feel equal. Right now, for what we have done is coaching and paying for our time. And so this differentiator here has been filled with US dollars. Right. It has been filled with money.
Right.
It also is filled with many different ways. It's there are many things that people can do to make this energy exchange worthy of it. You know, people that work with us, even though I'm paying them, they're doing incredible things for the business. And I know that them at a higher consciousness is going to make them do more incredible things because they have a better overview of how things are going, and they can make quicker, more efficient, more aligned decisions. So it's in my best interest to pour more into them to get them up as soon as I possibly can. That is a leader, that is a business owner. That's really all it is.
Right.
That being said, these group of people still are yearning to find other groups of people that are roughly around their area. Some a little bit higher, some a little bit lower. Some exactly where they are. They're yearning for this.
Right.
And a lot of our life recently has been connecting with people that may not be of the same consciousness. And we're completely at peace with that, and especially because we have each other. If we didn't have each other, it'd be a completely different story.
Yeah.
That being said, there's a lot of people that feel very lonely. Even if they're surrounded by people, this is why we feel lonely.
Yes.
Is because of the difference in consciousness, which is leading to a difference in the quality of conversations. The lower it is, the more complaining, the more negativity, the more external focusing it is about the weather, about the sports, about the politics. And the higher up you go, the more positive and the more authentic it gets to be a realer, deeper conversation. One of those conversations that you can recall a decade later.
Right.
Those conversations happen when someone is speaking with you at a similar level of consciousness or higher.
Right.
That being said, that is what we're creating. There is a huge swath of incredibly quality people out there that are not only high consciousness, but also high competence.
Yes.
Which are two very different things.
Yes, usually.
And we, for some reason, magnetize the people that are currently magnetizing in their own smaller audiences.
Right.
And audiences is in friend groups, family, whatever it may be. And so we're bringing all the magnets, all the lighthouses together to shine light on each other, have fun with each other, live with each other. And sometimes it's for the deep conversations that really help them improve in this and ever. And other times it's just to go hiking or to go get coffee. And for me, go play basketball with them, go whatever it is, have fun, live life together in a conducive environment for our energy. And thankfully, when you find people that are matched with you, you rise together. You don't just stay there forever. You don't. You rise. You only stay in one place when you're only surrounded by people at a lower thing. Because despite your natural inclination to rise, they unconsciously are grabbing and keeping you down.
Right.
And it's no problem for them. Again, they also deserve to go on their own healing journey. And there's a reason why they're that way. And we have nothing but love for them. But when you find people that match you, you will only rise. And what I mean by that is you will rise in how much money you make. You will rise in, if that's something that you are intentional about in your life, that's something you want. It'll rise in your overall happiness and peace quality. It'll rise in your chances of doing business or finding the romantic partner or finding the friendships that are legit forever friendships, if they're meant to be, whatever. The chances of that happening at our higher consciousness is just how life is, because you become more of a magnet for everything you've ever wanted.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing is creating a container where only people of a certain consciousness can come so that they can find each other and attract each other to build the next chapter of lives to feel more aligned with where they know they're meant to head.
Right. And I think it's like, it's very interesting when we talk about consciousness, because I think there's this tendency to see it as like there is good and then there is bad, and there are good people, high vibrational people, and there are low vibe people. And I actually don't see it like that at all. Consciousness, like we said, is completely within our control. We have full ability to rise in consciousness, and it's not easy, which is why people don't just flip a switch and it's like, oh yay, like I'm vibrating in love. Like, it does not work like that. I just, given how we talk, what we talk about, these subtle layers, like people say to us all the time, what you guys talk about is in the smallest, subtlest, tiniest details of things that I've never thought about before. Why is that? Because we have uncovered enough of these pain points, insecurities, wounds, blocks to have the space to see all of that. That's why we can talk about it. That's why we've been having this conversation for an hour and 46 minutes. And it's incredibly dense. And people tell us all the time, I had to re-listen to some of your episodes like 5 or 6 times. And every single time I listened to them, I picked up something different in what you were talking about. Why is that? What is that? What's going on? It's the consciousness that we've been able to achieve in this lifetime. And of course, we're just getting started. Consciousness is not like a, oh, I'm on mile marker 50 and now I'm just going to keep going up. No, every single day it goes up and down. You saw me cry on this, but like, look at what happened. I cried and expressed feelings of grief from my past self. And then I skyrocketed up and we had this incredible conversation. That is how it goes. It's the most nature-based cyclical thing in the world, consciousness is. And you will experience, in some cases, every rung of consciousness from shame all the way up to enlightenment on any given day.
Because it's not about being happy all the time. It's about being your full, authentic self in all moments.
And having it be okay.
Fully expressing, not necessarily acting on it and being angry and punching someone in the face, but allowing yourself to feel the anger fully and not judge it and not combat it with shame because you're not meant to be angry at this person or because of this thing.
Right.
The anger, the shame, the guilt, the sadness, the everything, the pride. And then also the top ones, the joy. People don't allow themselves to be joyful. And that's been one of my biggest problems. Peace, love, reason, willing, all these other things. It's us fully embracing all parts of the roller coaster of life that allow for us to see life from a more bird's eye perspective.
Yeah.
From a clearer mirror.
Yes.
Because we've wiped away all the fog.
Yes,
it feels.
Exactly. And once you create enough space by experiencing all these things, these emotions with no judgment, and that's a journey. Literally, you could take a lifetime just mastering that. It's something that I like notice my progress in, and it makes me very happy. Like, I have no judgment towards myself for like crying at any point of this pod today. I kind of even forgot it happened. It just happened and it was great. And I actually really enjoyed it. And I think I needed a good cry. So it's like, I can feel my progress. I can feel like there was no shame at all in that moment. That's huge for me. So I can sit here and be like, hell yeah, awesome. And that is the way, that's the ride. That's the wave. It's like every single week, month, year, you notice progress in letting go. You just notice, oh my God, that used to take me out. That me crying publicly, I'd be thinking about that for 2 weeks. Now I literally could not. I mean, it's not even in my awareness anymore. Yeah. It's amazing when you notice it. That's the expansion of consciousness.
And if we reflect just for a minute on what has caused our consciousness to expand so rapidly, it's become immensely clear for me.
Yeah.
The environment.
Yes.
The environment that we set.
Yes.
Physically, of like having our own space, our own house, where there's not, we're not downtown anymore with the big sirens, all the things. That's one part of it, but also being really, and this is a big part of it here, the biggest by far, the people we allow into our life.
Yes.
We talk, out of all of our human interactions, for each other, we both make up 95%. right? And I'm not saying that is the status quo for everyone going forward,
Right.
but we have such a bar for the type of quality conversations we have
Right.
that we only really want to have them with people that can deeply see from the same level we can see.
Yeah, our bar has gotten so high.
And so now if we meet other people that are of the same consciousness, now again, I'll probably still far majority be you. I live with you. You love my life. You're my favorite person ever, my best friend.
Aww.
And that, yeah, I love you.
I love you.
And that being said, we'll also make room for those other people more likely to some extent, as long as it's still mission aligned and there's a reason for it. Because we just have a consciousness bar now. Because when you only have conversations at that level, you just, like we talked about earlier, just ping pong back and forth with each other to rise each other in awareness.
It's
like in this
addicting.
conversation, not only do we feel lighter and happier since when we started an hour and 50 minutes ago, we are in general of a higher consciousness because we're able to speak our full truth, feel ourselves authentically. Like you cried, I was feeling myself to some extent too. And now we feel better because of it. We're met with unconditional love. We're both here for each other in that way. We only are going to have deep conversations. We're not going to transition from this to talk about the weather,
right,
or whatever it is. No, we're staying here. We're only getting deeper.
Right.
And so what makes that great is the environment that we've set for ourselves. We've had the courage to realize that if I take the leap and do the actions necessary to set up an environment for myself where I'm in contact with higher quality people, and then not only that, but also the environment I'm in is more conducive for a more peaceful, serene, enjoyable human experience. Those things combined will skyrocket people's lives.
Exactly.
It's like, if you want a happier life, what are the inputs that we're putting into that? And the biggest input you can make is the people you come in contact with. We can be in the middle of a prison, but if that prison was filled with high conscious beings, that prison would feel like a paradise very soon.
Exactly.
It's not the walls and the bars that make it feel like a prison. It's the group of people oftentimes who are around that makes us in survival.
Well, a monastery works very similarly to a prison.
Exactly. They're still sweeping the floors and cleaning the bathrooms with a toothbrush.
Feels totally different.
Very different. Why?
Yeah.
The quality of the people.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing. We're not creating a prison dynamic by any means. People still live in their own life.
Yeah.
But that being said, we're only attracting people of a certain consciousness. And oh man, I'm so excited because I've never had anything like this before. We're creating this, of course, to serve humanity, because that's just what we're divinely guided to at this consciousness, because only things that are serving humanity come through us at this consciousness. We literally cannot create anything that isn't aligned with what's genuinely best for humanity right now.
Yeah.
We can't. We won't have any energy around it. For some reason, it'll fail. We wouldn't even want to. We can't even fathom it. We can barely exaggerate every time we speak. We can't even do that now. We can only tell direct truth, let alone lie or cheat or steal. So that is what happens at a certain consciousness. But now everything we create turns to gold.
Yeah.
Because we are just the conduits of it.
Yeah. It's happening through us.
And man, imagine, and thankfully, everything we're creating is the product and service we wish we had.
Yes.
It is a solution. This would have saved me so much pain in my life. Because when I felt as if all I could do was surround myself with just people that I knew beforehand, no matter their consciousness, unaware of what that even meant, and continue to complain, continue to drink themselves asleep, continue to see the beauties of life and find a way to have a negative spin on it. If I were to keep myself in that group, whether it was around very undesirable people or even just average people, again, nothing's wrong with them.
Right.
They're all on their own path and their own journey, but it's not our responsibility to grab them by the hands and bring them up with us. That's not unconditional love. That's, I need you to be a certain way for me to feel okay, so please come with me, or else I'm going to cry, or else I'm going to struggle. No, it's being at peace with where they are at, and also being real with ourselves that we no longer need to be down there with them, and allowing ourselves to rise in that way and connect with other people like that. So I'm so excited for this. And
Yay.
I am fully patient and fully compassionate for whatever the process may look like, for you to feel ready to do what your parts are to make this creation happen. knowing that when it happens, this will be something that will probably be around for decades, is going to serve humanity so deeply, serve our own desires so deeply, and it all will happen in perfect timing.
It really will. And while you were speaking, it became really clear to me that I'm thinking to myself, why doesn't this exist? Right? Well, if it does, I couldn't find it. And to be completely honest with you, it's a whole different conversation. But I think why this doesn't exist is people really aren't willing to do true community management off of resonance. It's very hard for people. Even the idea of removing someone or asking them not to return to an event or a community space causes people to go into a spiral, because we're in this age of over-inclusivity. We've gone too far on saying, hey, anybody who wants to be anywhere can be anywhere. No. What? Like, what about how the host of this event feels about this? Like, it's like anyone can come into your house? You want anybody off the street on your apartment? Then why are we treating communities like that? And I truly feel when we look at the world at large right now, when it comes to why is it like this? Why is it such a core experience for people who have done the inner work and achieved a high state of consciousness to feel like they're lonely, to feel like they're walking through a hallway that's really dark and long and it never ends? And why can't I find my people? Like, why is that? Well, to me, it's number one, because maybe nobody has had the space or the specific skills in community building to understand how to do it right. Because like you're talking about, it takes a 50-50 split of logic and intuition to pull something like this off. People have there's probably a ton of in-person communities like this, like the walks, but maybe there's not a global community like this, so that someone in Iceland who's literally on the other side of the world really needs to talk to someone in Columbus, Ohio, but they are not going to know each other exists, because it takes somebody with a unique set of skills to create a space where those two things could even be possible. So I think that's number one. Number two is the internet. We have never really lived in a time where you could transcend your physical reality the way you can now. So what would happen is you'd be in Las Vegas, Nevada, and you were stuck conversing with anybody who is in Las Vegas, Nevada, in your 500-foot radius. And so now both of those things have changed, because we have the internet and we can connect people from all over the world the way that tech is advancing. And we are the two people who have the exact set of skills, one foot in the logic, one foot in the intuition, with a specific role on community building. Because that's one of the missing pieces. Who can pull this off? Because when I look around and I say, why doesn't this exist? This is such a problem. So many times, thousands of times, I have heard people say about this hallway period, about I can't find my people, I'm outgrowing my friend groups. And you see all of these like little startup things like Time Left or other copycats who are trying to fill this void. But the problem is that it's almost like a free-for-all, because you're going to show up to an event with 5 strangers, but what if one stranger is deep in anger, one stranger's in guilt over something, one stranger just is trying to transcend the grief of losing their cat. It's like, and then there's you. And you're like, oh shit, well, I tried to put myself out there, but that didn't feel good. Yeah. But you don't even have the awareness to know why that didn't feel good, because you're thinking, oh shit, well, I thought I was open-minded, but I went to this event for strangers and I felt really weird and bad, and I'm not going to do that again. And then you're lonely.
And it must be a me problem. I don't fit in.
It's not their problem.
It's not. You just haven't found your tribe. You haven't found your group of people.
The people creating these products, they don't get what we're talking about. Right? And so it's like, it's such a unique period of time. It's such a unique access to technology, access to AI, access to the internet that can connect people all around the world of the same resonance, of the same consciousness level. And it requires so many like almost shooting stars like to happen at this right exact time. The stars have to align to where it's like we're the right people at the right time, with the right set of skills and the right ability and the willingness to community manage off of what we're talking about. That's going to make it iconic. There's going to be nothing like it. And you see really amazing communities that have, brand recognition and stuff, but that's off of different things. You know, it's off of like, oh, we all do this activity together. And it's like, no, this is different.
Yeah, we're not all just all running together. It's not a run club.
No, this is
it's something like that.
Literally. And if you look at the walks, because it's an extension of them, you have people from all industries, all ages, all backgrounds. What bonds everyone together is consciousness. It's that people will not even get their butts out to that event if they're not above courage. That's what I found. You have to be in the state of courage or above in order to even say, I'm going to show up to this event for the first time because I feel such a pull to it. And that's why people tell me, you know what, it took me 6 months to come to this event. I thought about it all the time. I had a notes app where I wrote different topics I was going to bring. And then finally, 6 months later, I got out there. What was that? It was them oscillating every single day from the survival paradigm of anger, grief, guilt, shame, fear, pride, up to courage. And the day they woke up at 7:30 a.m. and said, today's the day, was the day they showed up to their first walk. That's what's happening. And it's like, I just wanted to bring life to that because so much of what we understand, you have to have so much space to see it. Like, it's never an accident. And the law of the universe is governed by very specific rules. Consciousness
that we've never been taught.
It's a mechanic. I mean, it's a mechanical process.
It's metaphysics.
It's metaphysics. I mean, it's like, it's not, there's not going to be one part of this. It's like, oh, well, here's an exception. No, there's no exceptions to consciousness. And it all follows a very predictable, logical pattern if you have the eyes to see it. And that is what we do. We do that so well. I don't see anybody publicly talking about the nuances of this stuff to the level that you do and that I do. And I don't see anyone community building to the level that you do and I do. And that is why we're here.
That's why we're meant to create it. That's why it means so much to us.
Yes. Because we're all like fractals of this giant ball of energy on this planet right now. And every single one of these fractals has their unique role that they're playing. And our unique role is this. It's building this community to bring the overflowing wells of joy, of wholeness, of high consciousness, high vibe, love of life, curiosity, kindness, all together in the right place. The same place at the same time, open to connection, because there's going to be so many synchronicities and magic moments that will come from even just the infrastructure of this that we can't even understand the impact it's going to have. Think about how many people had those moments happen just from the walks. That was like a weekly experience. 10 to 30, experiences every single week. People would come to me and say, you wouldn't believe what happened to me today. Imagine that in this community. That's even more curated. It just blows my mind to think about. So
it's life-changing. I
just wanted to transmit the gravity of it because it's really something. And I'm a creature of the internet. I've never seen anything like it. And I don't think anyone else is really meant to do it.
Oh, they can do it.
It takes
we have the
stars aligning.
Exactly.
Like, it takes understanding this at such a deep level and coming into contact with so many people to know the patterns. Because how else would we be able to community manage off of resonance if we didn't see the patterns for 3 years? And even when you weren't here in Austin helping with the walks because we hadn't even met yet, you were hosting men's circles. And you were still getting the reps in of these patterns that I'm talking about. I mean, it's amazing. I feel like I'm seeing it more clearly than ever. Like, why us? Why now? What is it? What is it serving? What's its function? This is a part of creating heaven on earth. Like, this is where we start. This is where it becomes a global and not just a pocket of energy. Like Austin and the walks, people coming to me and saying, I traveled here because I saw your stories about it and it felt so aligned for me. I moved here to be a part of this. Dozens of times, not even dozens, hundreds of times I've been told that. Imagine that, but not based on a physical event. It's a global community.